The haunted happenings one Luzerne County family told about put their home in the national spotlight back in the 80s. Their tales of terror had experts and curiosity seekers from all over flocking to that house where the Smurls live.
Every home has a heartbeat. The creak of the floorboards, the hum of the pipes, the quiet rhythm of life within its walls. But sometimes, those walls keep secrets. Sometimes, the heartbeat is not your own. In West Pittston, Pennsylvania, a family moved into what they thought was their forever home. A simple duplex. A place for children to grow. A place for laughter, dinners, family memories, and dreams becoming reality. Instead, it became a house of whispers, a house of shadows, a house of fear. For over a decade, the Smurl family claimed they were hunted, tormented, and broken down by something they could not see and could not escape. Their desperate pleas brought the infamous demonologists, Ed and Lorraine Warren, to their doorstep. And the haunting erupted into one of the most notorious hauntings of the 20th century. Tonight, we step inside the haunting of the Smurl family, a case so terrifying that it inspired the final movie in the Conjuring series. This is not just a ghost story. This is a warning. Before we dive into this case, as you settle in and prep yourself to be scared and thrilled, remember one thing. Leave the light on. In 1973, Jack and Janet Smurl thought they had found the perfect place to raise their family. After losing their previous home to flooding due to Hurricane Agnes the year prior, they felt their luck change when they discovered the house on Chase Street. Seeing it as a sign of a fresh start, Jack and Janet, along with his parents, rolled up their sleeves and poured their hard-earned savings into the duplex, transforming it from a fixer-upper into a home that everyone was excited about. The family moved into the home with their young daughters and eventually welcomed their twin girls, bringing their family to a happy and bolstering family of 6. Their new start seemed to be bright, and the Smurls began to settle into their lives in the quiet neighborhood in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. On the surface, life seemed ordinary. A modest home, a close-knit family, a future they thought would be peaceful. But before long, something began to stir within the walls of that duplex, and what started as small annoyances would soon escalate into a nightmare that plagued the family for 15 years.
Yes, as a matter of fact, up until a year ago, I thought that these type things only happen in movies.
It began small. Tools disappearing and electrical issues that could be easily attributed to the age of the house. But then strange smells began to infiltrate the family home. Described as foul, rotting odors, similar to those of sulfur and rotting flesh, the Smurls searched endlessly for the source, but were left with no answers. At first, they chalked it up to the quirks of owning an older home. But the disturbances didn't stop. They grew louder, stronger, darker, scratching behind the walls, pounding on the floors, and disembodied footsteps in empty rooms. As it escalated, family members occasionally claimed that a shadowy figure would lurk within the halls of the home, disappearing just as quickly as it appeared. The family experienced sudden leaks, electrical failures, and icy cold drafts that defied explanation. Soon, the family had 2 terrifying realizations. 1, they weren't alone in their house. And 2, they were in grave danger.
How long were you in this home before you became aware of the fact that things of a paranormal nature were occurring?
Approximately 1 year ago.
1 year ago, in 1985?
Yes.
As the years began to pass by, the paranormal activity turned violent. When the twins were born, the joyous family occasion was darkened by the increase in activity happening within the home. The attacks became personal. Janet reported being assaulted by an unseen force. Jack described being held down by something he couldn't fight. Their dog was thrown against the wall by an invisible force, and their oldest daughters were thrown down the flights of stairs within the home. What once was a happy home had turned into a battlefield between the living and something demonic. As one can expect, the strain on the family was unbearable. Jack and Janet began fighting. Health declined. Sleep became impossible. And with every passing day, the entity grew bolder.
This is the closet area, and especially in the back of this closet, where they will hear much of the rapping that takes place.
After repeatedly asking the church for help, the Smurls were at a loss for what they could do. Then, in 1986, desperate for help, the Smurls turned to two names that had already become synonymous with the paranormal: Ed and Lorraine Warren. When the Warrens first entered the home, they immediately realized the danger the family was dealing with.
Well, it's hard, for people who have never experienced anything like this to say, well, I'm not going to become frightened.
Right.
You're going to become frightened if you're normal.
Yeah. Lorraine claimed a sense of violent, inhuman presence in the home. Something demonic. Ed described hearing guttural growls, feeling sudden cold spots, and witnessing objects move without explanation. According to the Warrens, this was no ordinary haunting. It was oppression, a demonic force bent on tormenting the Smurl family. The Warrens conducted investigations, exorcisms, and prayers. They brought in priests, though some refused to act, doubting the claims. But still, the activity persisted. News of the haunting spread like wildfire. The Warrens' involvement drew the press, and soon, the Smurl family found their quiet neighborhood swarmed by reporters and curious onlookers. In 1986, their story was immortalized in the book The Haunted, co-written by the Warrens and journalist Robert Curran. Later, it was adapted into a 1991 made-for-TV movie of the same name. But with fame came doubt. Neighbors reported no strange activity. Skeptics suggested the Smurls were fabricating their story for attention or profit. Some psychologists theorized the family stress could have triggered hallucinations. As if that wasn't bad enough, despite being a devout Catholic family, their experience was even doubted by the clergy itself. There was a division within the church. Some believed the family's cries for help. Others dismissed the case outright, siding with the skeptics, despite the evidence being presented. During all this turmoil, the Smurls stood their ground, insisting they had nothing to gain. They only wanted peace and a home where they could live without fear. The Smurls tried to keep their lives private, but by then, the haunting had become one of the most publicized paranormal cases in America, causing a clash between believers and skeptics that rages to this day. Eventually, the Smurls moved away in the late 1980s. They reported that the disturbance lessened, but never fully ended. The damage, however, was already done. For over a decade, the Smurls claimed to live at the mercy of something they couldn't see, couldn't fight, and couldn't escape. Their story endures not only as one of the Warrens' most infamous cases, but as one of the most unsettling tales of a haunting ever told. Some houses never forget. Some darkness never sleeps. And some secrets are better left alone. So tonight, before you close your eyes, make sure to leave the light on.